You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am Chase Senior. Today's show is presented by our friends at Manscaped. Ben Simmons might be afraid to shoot the basketball. Don't be scared to clean up your balls. You can do so with the Lawnmower 4.0 and all of the great products from Manscaped. And the good news is you get 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com/chat. Coming your way, we're going to take a look at some Ben Simmons trade destinations, but first, let's get to the latest on the Philadelphia 76ers guard/forward, because at this point, we don't know what the hell position he plays. According to Shams of The Athletic, the Sixers have opened up conversations, and they are fielding trade calls for the former #1 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. According to sources, the Sixers want back an all-star caliber player for their all-star, a guy who is a first-team all-caliber defender and was a first-team all-defender this past year. And I understand that because of that awful second-round series against the Atlanta Hawks, where Ben Simmons took a total of 4 shots in the fourth quarter of 7 games, that his value is at an all-time low. We were talking about him being included in deals for guys like James Harden and Devin Booker. His value is not that, but I don't think it's in the basement, flushed down the toilet like some people believe right now. And his interest, according to some league executives, does remain robust because he brings a lot of value to his respective team. Here's what Shams had to say on The Athletic in that recent report. After a disappointing defeat in the second round of the playoffs to Atlanta, the 76ers and president of basketball operations Daryl Morey have been surveying the landscape for ways to improve their roster. Philadelphia lost to the Hawks in 7 games in the Eastern Conference semifinals, culminating in coach Doc Rivers and MVP runner-up Joel Embiid singling out Ben Simmons' play. That's what Shams had to say about Simmons. Here's what Marc Stein had to say about some interested teams who have been making calls to Daryl Morey and the Sixers. The Cleveland Cavaliers interested in Ben Simmons. So too are the Indiana Pacers. Would they give up Malcolm Brogdon for Ben Simmons? Something to monitor. The Minnesota Timberwolves, for a while, there have been rumblings there that they are invested in Simmons as well. The Toronto Raptors, could it be a sign and trade where they send Kyle Lowry to Philly, whose hometown, where he played college ball at Villanova, and get back Ben Simmons? Maybe that could happen. And then rounding out that 5-team list of teams interested in Simmons, the Sacramento Kings. Ben Simmons is certainly a confusing player. We're not sure if he's a point guard, if he's a power forward, if he's a point forward, maybe he is a small ball center. There's certainly some good and bad with him. He's a multi-time all-star. He can guard positions 1 through 5, and there's a lot of good about his game. First team all defense. He can realistically guard point guards, shooting guards, wings, power forwards, and centers. He can guard all 5 positions on the floor, and I thought it was a joke that Rudy Gobert won Defensive Player of the Year ahead of a guy like Ben Simmons, because I think his defensive prowess more valuable to his team than Gobert, who just clogs the paint. Simmons is also a tremendous athlete, 6'11", 240 pounds, and to move like he does, it really does in the open floor give you flashes of Magic Johnson with that passing ability. The court vision is truly elite, and if you want to talk about elite qualities that Simmons possesses, it's defense and it's passing. And while he doesn't shoot the ball from the outside, hasn't even developed an elbow or baseline jumper, what he does do is create shots for his teammates. A lot of his assists led to 3-pointers last year, which was a big reason why the Sixers were that #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Him in the open floor, it's beautiful to watch. It's marvelous to see a guy at that size, at that speed, make the plays that he does on the open floor. But this is why Ben Simmons is so frustrating. Since coming into the league in 2016, he hasn't developed his offensive game at all, and this is where the bad comes in. In fact, go back and watch what he did in the NBA Summer League. He was taking 3-pointers. He was hitting dribble pull-ups. He was hitting elbow jumpers as well as jumpers from the baseline. He doesn't even attempt those shots anymore. So really, his offensive game has regressed. He can't shoot, and he won't shoot. And in the fourth quarter of 7 games in that series against the Atlanta Hawks, he took a total of 4 shots in the fourth quarter in 7 games. You can't win playoff series with this guy as your point guard when he is contributing nothing on the offensive end of the floor. And speaking of contributing nothing, zilch, nada, his free throw percentage was god-awful. 34% from the charity stripe from your point guard. that is disastrous. When we look at potential destinations for Ben Simmons, how about the Golden State Warriors? Colin Cowherd said this on his radio show on FS1. He thinks Golden State might be the best fit for Simmons. He was talking with Chris Broussard, and he said this: if you gave me the number 7 pick and Andrew Wiggins from the Warriors, you would get another shooter if you're Philly. It's a very strong draft. At the number 7 pick, you're probably getting a starter or a first guy off the bench. So let's look further at what the Warriors could offer the Sixers for Simmons. They certainly have assets. The aforementioned number 7 and 14 picks. You can also put James Wiseman in that deal if you want to. Although, if you include Andrew Wiggins as a salary match in that trade, I don't think you have to part ways with James Wiseman, and I like that for Golden State because I think as he develops, he could be a very solid player. And for the Warriors, you might be saying, well, he's a very similar player to Draymond Green. This fit makes more sense to me because I actually think you can start Ben Simmons at the 5, you can have him in the dunker spot, and with his passing ability, can you imagine him in that offense finding a streaking Steph, a floating around the perimeter Klay Thompson? That Warriors offense could be extremely dangerous with Ben Simmons playing the point forward without Draymond, but also a pass-happy center down low. Then you don't have to worry about him not shooting the rock at all. Warriors would be dangerous. What do you think, though? Does Simmons fit on the Golden State Warriors? Get your votes in the comment section. Type F for yes, I think he fits. Type W if you think it's a weird fit. Submit those votes down below. At first, I would have typed my W because I thought it was a really weird fit. I do think, though, if the Warriors played Simmons at the 5, it would fit, and it would make the Warriors very, very dangerous. NBA Now is made possible today thanks to our friends at Manscaped. Now, Ben Simmons might be afraid to shoot the rock. I don't want you all to be afraid to clean up your balls. Ben Simmons doesn't like having his hands on his balls, but you'll like having your hands on your balls if you clean them up and trim them with the brand new Lawnmower 4.0, which is available right now, 20% off and free shipping by using the promo code CHAT. If you go to manscaped.com/chat, that link is in the description of this video. The technology on this thing is crazy, and you look at it right now on your screen and you're like, was the Lawnmower 4.0 built from the Transformers? It might have been. It's got 4 interchangeable blades, a battery life that lasts forever. There's a light on it, so if you change the guard up and use it on your hair or your beard, you can actually see what you're doing. I had to trim some hairs on my neck. The light allowed me to see everything that I was doing, and then if you want to go into the nether region, that light comes into play. Also, it's waterproof, so if you drop it in the toilet, no big deal at all. Once again, that's manscaped.com/chat. You get 20% off and free shipping. We move ahead with more Ben Simmons trade destinations. How about the Portland Trail Blazers? If Damian Lillard wants out, the rebuild is going to be on in Portland, and I think they'd be wise to kind of start over. And if you can start over with Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, and Matisse Thybulle, if you get those 3 players back in a trade for Damian Lillard, that's a nice little foundation to build with Chauncey Billups as the first-year head coach. On the Sixers side, they'd be able to get an elite scorer and creator to pair with Joel Embiid. And when you think about 1-2 punch duos who fit seamlessly, Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid would certainly mesh well in Philly. Here's what that trade would look like. Blazers, get Simmons, Maxey, Thybulle. Sixers, get back 1 player, but one of the great players in the league. Would you make this trade? Type T for trade, type P for pass. Get those votes in the comment section. Let's pivot to the Minnesota Timberwolves. According to Dane Moore, Gerson Rosas, the general manager for the T-Wolves, and Elton Brand, the general manager for the Sixers, because Daryl Morey is the president of basketball ops, met during the NBA Draft Combine a couple weeks ago to start the discussions about a Ben Simmons trade. And there have been reports floating around for a while that the T-Wolves are very, very high on Simmons. I actually think he'd fit well on that roster. But what could the Sixers get back? Could it be D'Angelo Russell? And would D'Angelo Russell, as the headliner in this deal, be enough to trade away Simmons? You take a look at what he did last year. He's best friends with Karl Anthony Towns. So did the T-Wolves want to split up those best friends? Because Cat was at the airport when Russell got traded to Minnesota from Golden State. He only played in 42 games. He was hampered by injuries. And we've seen that D'Angelo Russell has a little James Harden to his game. Last year, 19 points per game, average almost 6 dimes per night. He shot 43% from the floor, which isn't really all that efficient, but you know what is efficient? It's the 39% from distance. He has a skill set that Ben Simmons does not. He's a creator. He's a playmaker. He's a knockdown shooter. Ben Simmons is only 24 years old. D'Angelo Russell, on the other hand, is 25 years old. If I'm Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, Doc Rivers, I would certainly think about this deal. I'm just not sure if D'Angelo Russell is enough, and I'm not sure his play in the regular season, like James Harden's, would translate to the playoffs. Let me know what you're thinking on this, though. Is D'Angelo Russell good value for Ben Simmons? Let me know. Type G for good, type B for bad. Get those votes in down below and start flooding the chat a little bit. I'm teetering toward typing my B for bad. I just don't know if D'Angelo Russell will get a deal done, nor do I think that's equal value for a player of Simmons' caliber. If you made it this far in the video and you haven't subscribed to us here at Chat Sports, what the hell are you doing? We are the best people when it comes to covering the NBA. Let this be your NBA offseason hub for the latest NBA free agency rumors, NBA draft coverage, which we will be live for, and any breaking news that happens, we have you covered. And we're trying to get to 250,000 subscribers, so either hit that red subscribe button down below or go to youtube.com/chatsportstv and subscribe for the best NBA coverage here on YouTube. As we round out this discussion, some more trade destinations for Simmons. The Indiana Pacers. According to Jason Dumas, he works for a station out in San Francisco. He had reported back a couple weeks ago that the Sixers turned down a deal that would have sent Simmons to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for a first-round pick, which is at the back half of the lottery, as well as Malcolm Brogdon. I would also think about that deal because I'm high on Brogdon. The reason why I wouldn't go forward with it, it's the injury issues with Brogdon. Great player, but if he's injured all the time and Embiid is injured all the time, that's a recipe for disaster. How about the Sacramento Kings? So I'm only making this trade if I'm the Sixers, if you get De'Aaron Fox back. I think that is great value there, and I think the arrow is pointing up for De'Aaron Fox. He averaged somewhere around 25 points per game last year. He's a fantastic playmaker. His speed reminds me a lot of Derrick Rose in his prime. Russell Westbrook right now. I love De'Aaron Fox, not making that deal unless I get him back. How about Kyle Lowry? So this is logical because the Sixers could trade Ben Simmons up north to Canada and get Kyle Lowry back, right? Kyle Lowry is from North Philadelphia. He went to college at Villanova. Bring Kyle Lowry back home. He has one championship. Let him chase his second ring with Joel Embiid in his hometown at the Wells Fargo Center. I'm all in if you can bring Kyle Lowry in Philly. An NBA scout agreed with me, and we'll get to that here in just a bit. But circling back to that Pacers segment of this portion. This coming from Jason Dumas. He reported this a couple weeks ago. Sixers have already fielded offers for Ben Simmons, but continue to hold a stance that they will only trade him for an all-star caliber player. They most recently turned down a deal with the Pacers that included Malcolm Brogdon and a first-round pick. An NBA scout recently also had this to say about trading Kyle Lowry to the Sixers. He basically said, I would do whatever to trade Lowry from Toronto to Philadelphia. The only thing that would make this deal hit pause is the contract. So it would have to be a sign and trade. Here's exactly what that NBA scout had to say. I would move heaven and earth to try to bring Kyle Lowry home. He would be a natural for this team, a strong leader, and somebody who could take over the ball handling load. I agree with that NBA scout. Kyle Lowry is a great defender. He can create. He can knock down shots from all across the floor. And we saw against the Atlanta Hawks that the Sixers mentally are somewhat soft. You're not going to get that from the North Philly kid in Kyle Lowry. He's got dog in him, and I think he could instill some much-needed toughness within that organization. Last question before we head out of here. Where will Ben Simmons end up? Predict it for us. Let us know what team that Ben Simmons gets traded to if he does get traded, and get your predictions in the comment section.